Hey everybody, welcome to a special episode of the Clear Descent podcast. We're doing something entirely different from all our regular episodes. So if you're listening to this, you should actually watch the YouTube video because for one, François is driving. So if you want to catch him in his element when he's driving, you can do that. And the second part to this is I'm having a fireside chat with Wes Purvis. And so that's kind of unique. We're actually able to see each other, meet each other in the flesh, in person. And we've got the timer counting down here with this fire. How you doing, Wes?
Pretty good, Rowell.
François, as usual, is joining us here. How are you doing, François? Your drive is okay?
Very good. Yeah, very good. First time I do this while driving, actually. We had to wait for the 300 something episode. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so keep your eyes on the road. I'll switch scenes here as we need to, but Wes, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody on the show?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. This is my second or third.
I've lost track.
I don't know. Maybe more. Maybe fourth. I don't know. Time on the show, and so happy to be back. So Wes Purvis, work for Juniper Mist, and do wireless things within the company.
Everything wireless with Mist. And so we're here to talk about the new release of access points that you guys came out with, and the reason why we're here together is because you brought some goodies to show on the camera, which is great. But with Wi-Fi 7 like at the cusp, it's out. There's devices that are supporting it. We wanted to get your insight on what you're seeing with all of your customers, what's driving people to the new APs, and what are the capabilities of these new APs?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's Wi-Fi 7 time, so it must mean it's a higher number, so it's better.
It's better.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. The higher the number, the better. End of our show.
I think. So Wi-Fi 7 has been, depending on who you ask, is, even if you could probably even buy a Wi-Fi 7 home router.
Oh yeah.
3 years ago. But from an enterprise perspective, we're sort of in the upswing of Wi-Fi 7. Most vendors out there, including Juniper Mist, are releasing, the full portfolio of APs, and we're kind of getting into deployments. So we have, a number of Wi-Fi 7 deployments, as you can imagine, and I don't necessarily feel we have, from a technology perspective, realized all of the benefits of Wi-Fi 7. I think we're still learning.
Yeah.
There's some MLO considerations, there's some security considerations, but what we're seeing is also at least for Juniper Mist, there's new types of APs.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about, and it kind of opens up new deployment options.
Okay. And so are you seeing customers who say they're behind, maybe they're on AC still, as they move towards this migration towards new APs, new infrastructure? I mean, you got to overhaul everything, your whole infrastructure, not just APs, but switches too.
Yep.
And so as they upgrade their switches, does that drive them to look at your APs as well and go, you know what, we might as well jump to Wi-Fi 7?
I see a little bit of everything, right? So if you look generationally, so Wi-Fi 5, 11 AC Wave 2 was released in 2016. Wi-Fi 6 was released in 2019. And so even Wi-Fi 6 APs are coming up for a refresh. And certainly, customers with the Wi-Fi 5 APs as well. So there's a lot of interest from people, first of all, just to get to 6 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Because that makes such a tremendous difference.
That's the biggest win that a lot of people are trying to get to now that a lot more devices support 6 gigahertz.
That's right. Yeah. We're sort of seeing in the neighborhood of, depending on the deployment, right? If it's a, company issued devices, 50, 60, 70% client adoption on 6 gig. In a, university setting where students are bringing their own devices, maybe it's 20, 30%.
Yeah.
But it's certainly increasing. And so the 6 gig, really, because there's so much more spectrum in the US, 1200 megahertz, 59 channels, really, really helps.
But it did force people to look at the new security protocol. That was a requirement for 6 gigahertz. And so we may have people who are just waiting it out for the next version of Wi-Fi if they can.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys were seeing with your customers?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always, like in Wi-Fi, we're on this 3-year treadmill. Basically, every 3 years, there's a new generation. And so there's always, I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
And I think really what it comes down to is if you need new APs, you buy the APs that are the current ones.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty strong draw for 6 gig. And I think there's some stuff in Wi-Fi 7 that also, can be a pretty big draw. But I don't necessarily think if you're a Wi-Fi 6E customer, you're going to refresh to Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah.
It's probably the Wi-Fi 6 people who, those APs from 2019, they're 6 years old.
Take advantage of the new protocol and the 6 gigahertz if that's a need for a lot of you guys, depending on what you're trying to achieve for your environment, for your business. But and I think with Wi-Fi 7 starting to become more mainstream, right? Like we saw Apple release their new iPhone. It's got Wi-Fi 7 capability on it. Once we hit, I think, that threshold with more adoption of the consumer level devices, and that's when we start to see it drive the enterprise side.
Yeah, like if you look at 6 gig, it took 3 years to really get to meaningful client adoption. In Wi-Fi 7, we're in 5 to 10% client adoption range.
Oh, okay.
And that will continue to grow.
Yeah.
Year over year, and as more devices get released, I think we'll have a better understanding of sort of the interoperability issues that exist or don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the security a little bit.
Yeah.
But with Wi-Fi 6E, that was a big concern, and I think it probably remains a concern for people also in Wi-Fi 7.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, basically in Wi-Fi 6E, you have to support WPA3 on 6 gig, right?
Yeah.
Now with Wi-Fi 7, you have to support WPA3 on all the bands, as well as there's some additional ciphers and AKMs to support. So there's this GCMP 256 that you may hear that you have to support on any BSS that supports Wi-Fi 7 or EHD. On the passphrase, the WPA3 personal SSIDs, you have to support AKM 24 or 25, or also called group-dependent hashing or extended keys. There's a couple different names.
Yeah.
So this is something that like the Wi-Fi Alliance has tied into the Wi-Fi 7.
Trying to drive that adoption forward, right? Yeah. Because I think a lot of our complaints with new Wi-Fi protocols from a technical standpoint were these features that were great, but were optional. Yeah. And so it kind of stunted that adoption, in my opinion, with people holding off, waiting to see what happens in the new protocols. But what really drives them is the speed increase, is what people are seeing, right? The marketing numbers. But I think from what you're saying, that adoption is still getting there.
Yeah.
And so now, as that adoption starts to ramp up, obviously Juniper Mist needs to be ready for all of those clients that are going to hop on board to this new Wi-Fi network. And I don't know if you guys get this on your networks, but I don't know if anyone ever asked, like, are we Wi-Fi 7 capable yet? Are we Wi-Fi 6E capable? I honestly have not had the question, but I think it's just features that people want to see. Yeah. But I think what most people will say or ask is, why aren't I getting a certain speed?
Yeah.
Why am I not getting 1 gig closer to wire speeds on Wi-Fi? I have had that question where somebody put in a ticket and said Wi-Fi slow. And when I asked for more information, I'm like, what exactly is slow? Is it your application? Is it your video conferencing? They said, oh, I did a speed test. I'm like, what was your speed? I'm just curious. And they're like, oh, it's around 500. And I'm like, let me educate you on Wi-Fi and where we're at on speed wise and channel widths and all that. But yeah, I think it's it's an interesting conversation, but why don't you dive into what Juniper is doing to address those growth, the growth of Wi-Fi 6E to Wi-Fi 7 devices?
So it's, I mean, you made an interesting comment on the speed test. So, we had a customer who upgraded. They moved from another vendor to Mist. I think they went from Wi-Fi 5, 11 AC Wave 1 to Wi-Fi 6. They're like, yeah, we finished the deployment. We want to send like an email to the campus, letting them know, hey, we have this, really fancy new Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And what can I say is better about it? And so it's like, can I say that that we've improved the speeds?
Yeah.
We're like, well, you're still deploying 20 megahertz channels on 5 gig.
You're not gonna see a big jump.
Maybe 10%. Now with 6 gig, certainly that's different, right? Because you can use an 80 megahertz channel and show really good.
And there's less congestion on 6 gigahertz, so you're likely to have faster speeds, higher data rates that you can negotiate. But
and so in theory, in Wi-Fi 7 with MLO, you could potentially now there's some implementation that I think we can probably get into of. There's some nuance to like how specific clients have implemented MLO, which bands they can support simultaneously.
Yeah.
But
very client dependent on what we'll see with Wi-Fi 7 features.
Yeah. But to your question on, on adoption, I think, we're trying, like, we're learning as we deploy, right? Like, I think, unfortunately or fortunately, there's a lot of client specific nuance in terms of implementation. And so, yes, we can strictly follow Wi-Fi Alliance, but I think in general, there's the industry is figuring things out.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to make it as easy to deploy Wi-Fi 7 as we can. So actually, today in our shipping firmware, we have not actually enabled the Wi-Fi 7 security mode, so GCMP 256.
Okay.
We're still advertising Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Clients connect. But so it's turned out the clients have been very lenient.
So they're not, even though in the standard, it's a feature that you have to support.
Yeah.
If it's not there, the client's not gonna go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is not a true Wi-Fi 7 network, but
by standard, they're supposed to not.
They're supposed to not join to that network.
Not join with Wi-Fi 7. But they can still join.
Drop down to Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 6, or lower protocol. But I mean, many years ago, when devices didn't support 802.11r, they wouldn't join to the SSID. They would just fail. But here we're seeing, at least maybe from a device manufacturer point of view, that they're saying, well, we don't want it to be blamed on our device. We'll just allow that association to occur.
There's some leniency, and so it's not for lack of effort, right?
You're figuring it out.
Yeah, and so we've seen some interoperability kind of issues that we're working through. Sometimes clients will get a little confused if you're switching ciphers, and we want that to be kind of rock solid. But that goes back to we want to roll out Wi-Fi 7 in a consumable,
right? You're being cautiously optimistic, trying to identify what works, what doesn't work with these devices, and you don't have every device under the sun that you can get. So,
what we saw with Wi-Fi 6E with the WPA3 requirement, that we feel kind of stunted a lot of adoption of 6 gig. So we didn't want to repeat in Wi-Fi 7. Now, I've mentioned this before, but of all the Wi-Fi 6E capable APs that we've sold, today about 50%, half of the APs have 6 gig turned on.
Okay, half. Okay.
So, but that's like it was 30% a year ago.
Okay. Slowly getting there.
Yeah. So I think
well, I think though what limits that growth is the WPA3 adoption.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who have concerns over, will it work, will it not work? Do I have to stage up another SSID in order to make these people join a WPA3 and use 6 gigahertz? There's a lot of different ways we have to approach this, a lot of different guidance that you'll hear. I think this was a discussion at WLPC, right? You were the one that talked about it, right? It was you and JJ Manella talking about how to migrate to WPA3. I would I'll take the time to tell people to go ahead and start testing it and start that migration because it's time.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like for .1x, it's very easy, very safe.
Yeah, I found that. At Jerome, if you support .1x, I just went WPA3 only, never had a complaint. We had a lot of AP45s and just enabled WPA3, had no tickets come in about that for Jerome SSID.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then for personal, we're like now we see very high client support of WPA3 personal. There were some interoperability concerns, and I think they still exist, right? You can still buy like a new IoT type of device that has a crummy chipset in it that isn't happy, but by and large, like the WPA3 personal is pretty safe.
Okay.
And OWE, we have now, I think you've tried it at one point.
Tried it and then not trying it no more.
But I'll say we do have customers with large scale OWE for guest type of use case, OWE transition.
Okay.
So I actually feel okay. I think there's some nuance, but I feel okay.
All right, François, you haven't. Are you seeing your clients use WPA3 more often? Have they transitioned over? You're muted.
Yeah. So yes, I've actually today I was working on the network, and it's a university, and they had 6 gigahertz enable with WPA3 on 6 gigahertz, and no problem. Actually, to come back to Wes' comments on the the percentage of clients connecting to 6 gigahertz today, I had in some classrooms, I had between 40 and 50% of the clients connecting on 6 gigahertz.
That's
and
awesome.
That university had a mixed environment of like 5 gigahertz only lecture halls, and then 5 and 6. And you could see a big difference in the channel utilization user experience between the two. Like 6 gigahertz is really making a big difference on those in these busy environments.
Yeah, I think that the 6 gigahertz adoption will alleviate some of the stress that was put onto the 5 gigahertz spectrum. Yeah. We didn't see much stress relieved from 2.4, and I think that's just it is what it is with 2.4. But I think with the WPA3 rollout, that'll probably make it more so for 6 gigahertz.
Yeah.
But with you guys looking at all of these devices, all of the behaviors, you're just trying to provide a lot more options to customers in order for them to deploy a Wi-Fi network that works very well, has stability.
That's right.
And the adoption to also leverage the newer protocols.
Yeah, because what's the point if you can't, the stuff doesn't work, your clients don't connect.
Right. Yeah, and usually with newer APs, you're very limited with what you can deploy, because as new protocols come out, I'm always wondering what happens when you need antennas.
Yeah.
Like, do I have an option there to use antennas? I have a lot of environments where there's a lot of antennas in a warehouse environment, and they're getting new devices that can scan on 6 gigahertz. And then there's educational lecture hall auditorium style where we're using antennas. We don't just swap out those APs and use omnidirectional. So I'm always looking for what options do I have available when it comes from a vendor, from Mist on AP deployments.
Well, perfect segue. I'm happy to say there are more options now in Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah, because I heard the news. It wasn't, how long was that? Like a week ago?
Oh, yeah,
a week ago. The new APs were released. You had, let me see if I can get this right, the AP36, AP37, and the AP67? 66. See, I made a comment saying you guys should have added 7 at the end of each of them to make them Wi-Fi 7. But
well, maybe we want some more room in the portfolio.
We're gonna have to cut that out. But yeah, why don't you talk about the new APs and why so many?
Yeah.
Because we know you have the AP47, which is kind of the flagship. It has everything. But what's the difference with these 3 new APs?
Sure. So the AP47 is our flagship Wi-Fi 7 AP that's been out since beginning part of 2025, and so in September, we announced these couple new APs. So the 36 and 37 represent our mid-range.
Okay.
So like a good price to performance mix.
Okay.
Right? So the AP47 has all the bells and whistles, the best performance that you can have, dual 5 and dual 6. It has 2 Ethernet uplinks with redundancy.
It's 4x4
4x4
all the bands.
The 36 and 37 take out some of the bells and whistles, so it's band locked. No dual uplink, but it still has 2 ports, uplink, downlink kind of fashion.
Okay.
It has 4x4, so we feel strongly about 4x4.
Okay.
Especially on indoor APs. So it's 4x4 on 5 and 6, 2x2 on 2.4, which is
2.4.
Sorry, 2.4. But we've done quite a bit of testing where 4x4 greatly outperforms 2x2 in terms of signal quality and data rates and retries and that kind of stuff.
Can you hear that, François? It's so loud. You're muted, but sorry. Go ahead, François.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think this episode is gonna be legendary.
So being in San Diego, where Wes and I are, we're not too far from the Miramar Air Base, and so they fly a lot of jets there. I think Top Gun style. So these F-22s or F-16s, they're just, we'll probably hear them every 30 minutes because they practice a lot. You were saying, Wes.
Anyway. So 4x4 is I think where I was. We've done a lot of testing and see benefits from 4x4 in indoor environments where you have a lot of multipath. The 4x4 gives a stronger signal, more robust, higher data rates, lower retries, and actually results in higher performance.
Yeah, I think was it you that did the data set that showed the performance of a 2x2 and a 4x4?
Yeah.
So there is a boost there if people are looking for what's, when you purchase new AP. So what's new? You'll see a little bit of a boost there.
Yeah. So this gives the 4x4. Like I said, the radios are band locked. It's still, so if people are familiar with the MIST portfolio and Wi-Fi 6, there's the AP32 and 33.
Yeah.
Where it's the same Wi-Fi inside, same chassis, but the difference is Omni BLE on the 32, and then the VBLE technology for enhanced location on the 33.
Okay.
It's the same concept on 36 and 37.
Gotcha.
So 36 has Omni BLE, has a second 15.4 radio in it as well, and then the 37 has the VBLE antenna array.
Okay.
And the second 15.4 radio. So if people want location use cases, that's what the 37 is for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is a very niche use case for some people.
Yeah.
Like very large campuses can have a big use case for location services. But if you're an office space, maybe location is not your thing. That's not something that you're interested in. You could go for the AP that doesn't have the VBLE.
And save a few bucks.
Yeah.
And then there's actually a third model in the 3637 series, which is this one. This is the AP36M, and M stands for multi. It's a two personality AP, so it has a built-in directional antenna, 60 by 60 degree pattern.
Okay.
And then you can, if you choose to, hey, I want to use some external antennas, you can switch to these 2 ports and plug in external antennas.
Okay. Why 2 ports there?
Because there's so many elements. Okay. It's the same as the 45E, so it's a 10 element antenna.
So the antennas are only going to get larger too. Is what you're saying. Okay.
So it's instead of like a RPSMA, it's a pluggable connector.
Yeah.
So you can plug them in.
Which I like.
Yeah. It saves the.
So in this AP, you're saying there's a directional antenna.
That's right.
So even if you look at the width of this guy, somehow there's directional antennas in there, which is really neat. That's impressive.
8 dBi 60 by 60 pattern, similar to the AP47D directional.
Okay.
So this, like Wi-Fi 7, going back to like, hey, there's more options for deployments. With 6 gigahertz, there's special rules when you use external antennas.
Okay.
Especially in the US, you have to comply with the standard power regulations. Now, if you have an integrated antenna, it doesn't matter if it's omni or directional, but it's built in, not usable, user changeable. Then you can use the low power indoor rules. And so that's why we have this both the 47D and the 36M. And it's meant to be like an everyday AP.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's like people think of directional antennas.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a niche use case, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't think so much anymore that it is. I think it helps.
Yeah.
Being that we're installing more APs in open spaces.
Well, that's the entire point. It's like, the density of APs has increased.
Yeah.
Generation over generation, where I don't like to use this, but people seem to get it, right? So you have, maybe you would have an AP every 2,500 square feet before 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And now that's steadily shrunk to 2,000, 1,500.
Yeah. Just on average, you're seeing that many APs cover a smaller amount of space. And if you're using location services, you will have more APs to try to have that triangulation.
Certainly. Yeah, but, you need often higher density with location, but also for the Wi-Fi. And so when you start to deploy more APs, you're roaming. Like, the first thing is like, hey, my roaming sucks now.
Yeah. You have clients that are just going to be sticky on an AP, especially Apple devices. They tend to stick to APs much farther. So
the directional antenna helps limit
shape the signal.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the Omni antennas, the modern Omnis are on an indoor AP have down tilt.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't have the full signal propagation at the horizon. But this helps even more, right? This just limits, makes that cone even tighter.
Yeah.
And it also helps with co-channel, right? Because this AP, again, the signal's not going as far out at high of signal, and it also can't hear as well.
Yeah. So it has a little bit of earmuffs.
Yep.
And so it eliminates some of that extra signal coming from farther APs. Yep. And so that signal will look lower as far as signal strength goes. And the co-channel then decreases.
Yep.
Okay.
So if today you are designing for capacity, and in a deployment, so like an office, in a classroom, and whatever it is, in everyday type of deployment, but you're designing for capacity, you could deploy the 47D or 36M instead of the Omni.
Yeah, it's a good integrated directional antenna for that purpose. Yep. That way you don't have to purchase extra antenna equipment. Right. But if you need to, you can with the 36M.
Yes, M for multi.
Multi.
It's the best
not modular?
No, multi.
Okay. For some reason I thought modular. Okay.
I guess.
Awesome. And then what about for people who want Wi-Fi 7 outside?
Outdoors, yes. So for that, there's this one, which is the AP66 and 66D. So this one is actually a 66D directional. It's a special directional.
Special.
So there's the two versions. There's the Omni 66 and then the directional 66D.
Okay.
But this 66D has dynamic directional antennas.
Yeah.
Or software definable directional antennas.
Okay.
So there's actually the antenna arrays in here that with software we can change the active elements, and it creates different patterns.
Okay, so you're not talking about software defined radios, but a software defined antenna to change the element beam widths.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just a static 90 by 90.
No.
You can change that beam width to any number?
No, there's fixed. So there's three patterns. So 90-90 is the default.
Okay.
So it's like our wide pattern.
Yeah.
Put it on the side of a building, and small back lobe for indoor. You don't have to worry about indoor outdoor stuff, and then it kind of gives you like a little bit of a sector.
Yeah.
Then there's a 90 by 30, which is like a rectangle, and that's meant for put this on perpendicular or parallel to a walkway.
Yeah.
So it's long.
Okay, so hallway type scenario. So you're not having to place so many different omnis in a hallway.
Or this that pattern 90 by 30 can also be used in high rack warehouse.
Okay. I like that.
So
Having done warehouse designs and having to look at APs and separate antennas, in which there weren't a lot of antennas to select from when you dealt with warehouses and long aisles, right? So you've got the height, which is usually about 30 to 40 feet, but then the aisles can be as long as 200 plus feet.
I mean, sometimes you have aisles 500 feet.
Yeah, and so how many APs and antennas would you have to put in there to service the devices in the warehouse? And so this is it meant to place on the ceiling and then it
points straight down?
Okay.
Yeah. So with that 90-30 rectangle, like we've really fallen in love with this warehouse style antenna, the long and narrow one.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as long as some of the dedicated antennas out there, but it fits a happy medium.
Okay.
And so we think that in some, like for some of the high aisle, high in warehouse with the high racking, the 90-30 pattern will be attractive on this AP.
Yeah, and this is a decent size AP. It's not gigantic by any means, and it's almost the same size, dimensions, and almost the same weight as the 36M.
Yep. So it's the 66D, so it's a little bit thicker because of the directional.
Yeah, and it has a heat sink in the back.
Yes.
Talk about Ethernet ports. Is there?
This one has just a single 10 gig.
One? Okay. A 10 gig.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
And the 36 has 10 gig uplink and 1 gig downlink.
Gotcha.
With PoE out.
And so that's a lot of different options within a single AP.
Yep.
Different models, different.
There's one more pattern.
Another pattern.
So the third one is 30 by 30. That's the narrow.
That's right. We forgot the third one.
Yeah. So that's meant for like the where you need the tightest coverage, maybe point-to-point links.
Okay.
So this is it's a tri-radio 2x2.
Okay.
So on the AP64, which was our Wi-Fi 6E outdoor AP, that was 2 radios concurrent, but any 3 bands you could choose two at a time. So this is all 3 bands simultaneously, but 2x2. And so the question is, hey, you just went on this soapbox about 4x4. And yes, that is true, but don't have that same opinion for outdoor. Because there's less multipath.
Yes. In my environment, in a campus, there's also a lot of people just walking by.
Yeah.
They're gone within a few seconds. So does 4x4 matter in that case? Probably not. Yeah. If you're using the narrow band, like I'm thinking a use case where you take this AP and you've got, I don't know, a guard shack over there. It needs internet. You can have a very narrow beam width going to that other receiving unit.
Yep.
And then you can hook up, put a switch there, hook up a camera and whatever connectivity they have.
Yep.
So now I don't have to look for a separate point-to-point setup that's different. And we can all have it in the same dashboard.
That's right.
All right. I mean, what else? That was a lot to take in, Wes.
Yeah. Well, so that's what was announced from an AP a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it's like Wi-Fi 7 is here, deployments. And, I think at least from an AP perspective with Juniper Mist, we have more options than we've had before. Like, on the 47, for example, it supports now dual 5 and dual 6.
Okay.
Which is really cool because, the dual 5 find like it has its uses and it certainly helps with, capacity bumps here and there.
Yeah.
And we've actually retuned our RRM.
Okay.
To be, like, there's some of our customers like to just do, let me put dual 5 everywhere.
Yeah.
But the problem is on the dual 5, we band lock the radios at that point, or so there's a high and a low.
Yeah.
And the low set of channels is 36 through 64. That's 8 channels.
Yeah.
And the high set is 100 through 165 or 177 if you include Uni4. So that can be 16, 17 channels. So you have a disparity in the number of channels, so that you can't do dual 5 everywhere because you run into channel reuse issues. But on dual 6, 59 channels in the US, the balance between the high and the low on the dual 6 is much more even. So we think that the dual 6 will be popular.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of conference spaces will use Dual 6.
Yep.
A lot of auditoriums, lecture halls. Yep. I have lecture halls that fit 1,000 people, and it was a struggle to do Dual 5 in those scenarios because how many channels can I really use that are so close to each other with the APs?
Yeah, I mean, so now in Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7, first of all, you have another radio.
Yeah.
Right. So where before everything was happening on 5 gig that mattered, now you have 5 and 6 gig. So that opens up more capacity just by having another radio.
Yeah.
And then in some cases you can even turn on the third radio.
Yeah.
To for even higher capacity from a single AP unit.
Okay. And I think there's a lot of good innovation here in the hardware because everything is software driven now, right? All the sexiness is going to software. I think this kind of brings back you can't see it, it's all in here, but there's a lot of cool innovation in the hardware that you guys are doing with the antennas, with the ports, everything all in a small enclosure to make that work.
I don't know if Bob would be happy that we're doing an episode just on APs and not talking about software or AI. But
I mean, it all lives there on the AP. I think we know that. And if you guys haven't seen the Mist dashboard and have used it, I think you'll find it to be very beneficial to your operations, right? We have all this cool technology, the cool hardware, the options that we can deploy it at. But if you don't know what's happening on your network, you don't know.
That's right.
And you need to know.
Yeah, all this cool hardware is kind of useless without being able to see what's happening.
Right. Like, how do you know it's being used correctly? Like, where are your clients joining to? Are they actually using that 6 gigahertz SSID that you deployed?
Right.
You need to know.
Yeah.
And the Mist dashboard and the AI can help tell you that, can help correlate events that I look at day to day, and also looking at roaming behavior. I mean, I always still look at that roaming. I don't know what you call it, the roaming chart.
The roaming of
where the client, like, I can ask Marvis, hey, how's this device roaming? Yeah. And I've seen one device that just kept flopping between 5 and 6. And I was like, okay, well, now I need to do something about that. And that was when this is when we were first playing with 6 gigahertz. I had just taken a small office and we just put the new APs where they were originally at. We didn't do a design. We were like, let's just test 6 gigahertz. Well, because we didn't do a design for 6 gigahertz, we saw that there were 6 gigahertz gaps. And so that led to us changing things around after that. And so, we found out the hard way. We just didn't want to recable a lot of things, but
I've seen
a small office.
When for 6 gig, you need a capacity design. If it's a coverage design where you have sparse APs and clients maybe connecting on the fringe of the cell, they're going to struggle with 6 gig.
Yeah, and you do have to look at the dashboard to see how that client is connecting. Yeah. If you don't want to go on site and collect that data, right? How many of you have to operate multi remote sites, and there's no tech on site? So you have to leverage the dashboard in order to determine what is happening with this specific device. Then how can I tune it or redesign it or deploy this new site to accommodate what I saw here, like what you guys are doing, right? You're looking at how all these devices act and then testing out different settings within the dashboard. All that testing you were doing, though, that's all data collection you grab from your dashboard.
Yep.
And you look at AI, use Marvis to gather all that data.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. All right. Well, the fire died out. So you know what that means. The fireside chat is over. And I don't know if François is still here. We can check. Let me pull him up. There he is. François, thank you.
Yeah.
Still on your drive,
okay.
Lucy.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Hopefully you can hear me. Just one question before we end. Wes, I really like the dynamic antenna stuff you did with the 66D. Yeah. Why didn't you guys implement the same thing in the 37D and the 36M?
Next question.
François delivering the tough questions here.
Yeah, is it coming in the future type of thing?
I think so. Like for us, this is the first time that we've done built-in directionals. So on indoor, we have a fixed directional with 60 by 60. I think if these two APs turn out to be popular, which I'm really hopeful they are, and I think people are confused about them. Like they see directional antennas, like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to say, you can actually use this in every day. And I think also on the outdoor 66D, that turns out to be popular. I would very much be interested in doing a indoor with software selectable antenna patterns on the radios. So we don't have it, François, but certainly it could be in the cards.
Okay, so it's not like a size thing where it's going to make the AP huge and unpractical.
Well, I mean, there would be a size consideration.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not why. That's not the reason.
All right.
It's more like, let's prove it out. Let's make sure that there's actually an interest in this stuff.
Okay, so rather than developing a full lineup with every single option available, you really want to see it pan out.
Yeah.
As part of that development cycle. Is there traction? Then yes, we can build it out further.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's potentially even kind of one AP for integrated omni, integrated directional. You could switch between. So I think there's a lot of options that we're not doing, but that's not to say we couldn't, depending on customer interest and whatever. It does add some cost.
Yeah.
And so like on a mid-tier AP like the 36, maybe we wouldn't, but on flagship, who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, François, thank you for joining us on your car ride. Looks like you're stuck in traffic, so I hope you have an episode clear to send you can listen to while you're the remainder of your ride. And Wes, thank you for joining us here in San Diego. Thanks for making it all the way out here just to record this with me.
Yes, just for you, man. And I'm glad we had a fire behind us. I actually felt it.
Yeah, so it actually helped a little bit, and now it's died down, and so we got to move back indoors because you can see the clouds rolling in. Who knows what's going to happen? But if you guys have any questions, I'm really I'm interested in knowing if you've already made the shift to WPA3, meaning now you could leverage all of these 6 gigahertz features, push to Wi-Fi 7. What is your adoption rate? Let us know. We're curious to hear that out. And then what kind of challenges are you running into that won't get you there to Wi-Fi 6E or Wi-Fi 7? What are those roadblocks? But I want to thank you guys for joining us on this special episode, a little bit different. And we hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.